What's up, guys? Jeremy here, the most trustworthy financial advisor on YouTube. I want to help you create your first or next generation of wealth. And today in this video, I'm going to try to make a distinction because if you have been to my financial community, which is free to join at jeremybr.com, you know that I think level one of the financial freedom pyramid, the base level, the first thing to master, I title it freedom from. And really, I mean freedom from bondage to money. So, this is going to get a little bit difficult to thread this needle. And I want you to try to follow with me here. We're going to go on a Bible lesson together and we'll apply these lessons outside of biblical context as well. So your Christian devotion is not a requirement to hopefully get something out of this video. But the distinction I want to make is that creating wealth is different than taking wealth. I want you to create, not take. And your superpower to mastering that distinction is contentment. To say, I don't need any more money to be happy. I don't need any more things to be happy. Right here, right now, no matter what I am going through, I know there is a place for me to find peace, and I am not going to place the power over my joy in the hands of financial circumstances because that's going to be a moving target and you're never going to get there. If your hope is in the future, it's never in the present. And so, can I appreciate what I have without feeling a sense of lack? And if so, the paradox is that you are well on your way to wealth creation because the path to wealth creation is not inspired by personal consumption. So, if you've watched a lot of my videos, you maybe have heard me talk about leverage. Level four of the pyramid, push the tempo, is about leveraging time, relationships, and money to accelerate your value creation. And I want to make a distinction as in this regard as well, this taking versus creating, because not all leverage is the same, not all debt is the same. So to borrow money for your personal consumption, to borrow so that you can take, so that you can have, I want this, I can't afford it, so let me just swipe a card, is very different from borrowing so that you can create, so that you can make. I want you to make generational wealth, not take it from someone else, not just have and get the benefits of wealth. To create wealth, it's a different process, it's a totally different mindset. And as it relates to borrowing, that I'll leave for a later video. Today, I want to dive into this superpower of contentment and why it is so important. And the reason we're going to go on this little Bible study together is because I want to persuade you not to drool over money. If you have your eyes focused on the money, you will not be able to create wealth. You will not be able to solve problems for others with them in mind. You will not be able to suffer extraordinary levels of pain, knowing that the reward will be a blessing to so many others. If all you are looking for is what you can get out of it, that won't be able to get you through the wall of what it costs to actually create generational wealth. And so let's dive into it. I'm going to share my screen, and I've got four different passages that I want us to look at. Only one of them is a little bit long. The others are on the shorter side, I would say. But First Timothy 6 says, "But godliness with contentment is great gain." Let's pause there. Okay, so contentment is great gain with godliness. That's basically a more spiritual way of saying what I just said, which is that contentment is your superpower to creating wealth. If you don't need more money, right, then that means, like, hmm, what am I trying to say? What does contentment look like for you right now? We might imagine contentment saying, "Oh, I don't need any more, but I need everything that I have right now." That's not really quite contentment. Contentment is more like, I know what it is to have a lot, I know what it is to have a little. No matter what, I know who I am and I know, who I serve. So if you were to live content, certainly that would imply that you are living within your financial means, that you're not spending more than you're making. But let's say you make $3,000 a month. Do you need to spend every single one of those dollars? Or if you could be content on 3,000, I wonder if you could be content on 2,800. And if you can be content on 2,800, which you can, by the way, then all of a sudden, now you have 200 of margin that you can begin investing, that you can begin sharpening skills, creating wealth. If all of your dollars are just going to meet your wants, if they're just going to consumption, your own experiences, your own things, your own uh, road trip, your own food, your own clothing, your own shelter, your own internet, your own cell phone, your own plan, your own gym, if it's all being consumed by you, you haven't necessarily demonstrated contentment. What you've demonstrated is that I need for myself every dollar that I make. But as soon as you start living with margin, what you signal to your body is, I can do anything. I can live on as little as I need to live because I don't need money to live, right? There is always a way to make it with less. And it doesn't really matter how big that margin is. The point isn't, with that 200 a month, you multiply that by this many years and you'll be a millionaire. The point is this contentment, this spiritual muscle that when you signal to your brain and to your body that I'm actually great, I'm fine. Yeah, there's this much coming in. I'm great with this much. As soon as you do that, you open the floodgates to, well, now that I am not in lack, now that I don't need more for myself. Now, if you had more, you probably would spend more, but according to your choice, not as a slave to your wants, not as a victim to your own cravings, right? You choose your lifestyle when you live below your means. When you live up to your means, or certainly beyond your means, you are you are consuming as much as you can afford, right? But when you consume less, you have margin. Your perspective becomes less on how can you consume more, and your perspective can then begin to shift on how can I help other people more? How can I create more value? How can I become more as a person? Let's keep reading. So we brought nothing into this world, and we can take nothing out of it. If we have food and clothing, we will be content with that. Shelter and transportation didn't even make the list, guys. Then he says, those who want to get rich fall into temptation and a trap and into many foolish and harmful desires that plunge people into ruin and destruction. For the love of money is a root of all kinds of evil. Some people, eager for money, have wandered from the faith and pierced themselves with many griefs. So, if your mindset, if your eyes, if your heart, if your focus is getting rich, receiving, taking the benefits, of riches for yourself, you're on a dangerous path. It's going to lead to some evil, it's going to lead to some ruin, to some destruction, and you might get there and realize that you became someone you never thought you would be if you are focused on what money is going to do for you. So instead, be content, right? Be content. And it doesn't mean don't create wealth. We'll save verses about wealth creation for another day. Right now, I'm talking about why contentment is your superpower and it's part of the process of getting free from money so that you can actually be free to create money instead of take money. Okay, next verse, Matthew 13. The seed falling among the thorns. So, this is the parable of the sower. Refers to someone who hears the word of God, words of life, life inside your soul. But the worries of this life and the deceitfulness of wealth choke the word, making it unfruitful. So, just another verse with a similar theme. Matthew and Timothy are in agreement here that your thoughts about this pursuit of wealth, it can choke you out. It can choke you out when you are thinking about the riches from a consumption perspective. Let's dive into Luke 12. So, the parable of the rich fool, someone in the crowd says to Jesus, Teach me, teacher, tell my brother to divide the inheritance with me. Jesus replied, Man, who appointed me a judge or an arbiter between you? Then he said to them, Watch out, be on guard against all kinds of greed. Life does not consist in an abundance of possessions. If you are on the freedom from level, I want you to just like put this on a sticky note on your mirror. I mean, life does not consist in an abundance of possessions. What a great news to the struggling out there. What a great news to those who have not already created some impressive company, that have not already created value or become such a valuable resource that now they have generated wealth. Life is not waiting for money. Like your life is right here and right now. It's not just one day. And so don't think that money is going to save you. It's not. Or don't think that life will feel more potent with money, right? To just experience the full spectrum of emotion, to feel alive as a person. It's not in having a lot of stuff that will necessarily generate that for you. And so Jesus goes on, tells them this parable. The ground of a certain rich man yielded an abundant harvest. He thought to himself, What shall I do? I have no place to store my crops. Then he said, This is what I'll do. I'll tear down my barns and build bigger ones. And there I will store my surplus grain. And I'll say to myself, You have plenty of grain laid up for many years. Take life easy, eat, drink, and be merry. But God said to him, You fool, this very night your life will be demanded from you. Then who will get what you have prepared for yourself? This is key. He prepared it for himself. And Jesus says, This is how it will be with whoever stores up things for themselves, but is not rich toward God. That is such an important lesson to reiterate that as you, like this guy, this farmer man, like he created the wealth through his work, through his sowing, through his effort. But where was his focus? Himself. Was he sharing with people? Apparently not. Was he sharing with God? Was he being generous in his offerings and sacrifices to God? Apparently not. It was all just focused on his consumption, his protection, his provision, and that was not a blessed path, right? His eyes, even though he was creating wealth, he wasn't taking it from others. He wasn't just trying to get rich quick or live outside of his means, but he was so defensive of his means. He was not content, right? He needed more and more and more. As his riches grew, so did his desires, and he failed to have eyes for anyone else around him. And so then Jesus says, therefore I tell you, don't worry about your life, what you're going to eat or what you're going to wear. Life, this is another one, a sticky note for your mirror. Life is more than food, and the body more than clothes. There is more to this happiness equation than getting money. So please stop trying to just get money. The pursuit of money, just trying to get more money, is going to shoot yourself in the foot. Okay? You got to get it out of you. And I know it's a needle that is being thread, okay? It is hard sometimes to discern the difference between trying to take and trying to make. But one way is to say, how much are you sharing to others, to God? That's one way. That's one clue. One way is, hey, how's your worry doing? Are you anxious about your provision? Or are you content? Are you trusting, right? Are you living below your means or are you living up to your means? That's another way, right? Consider the ravens. They do not sow or reap. They have no storeroom or barn, yet God feeds them. And how much more valuable you are than birds. Who of you by worrying can add a single hour to your life? Since you cannot do this very little thing, why do you worry about the rest? Or consider how the wild flowers grow. They do not labor or spin. Yet I tell you, not even Solomon in all of his splendor was dressed like one of these. So if that is how God clothes the grass of the field, which is here today and tomorrow is thrown into the fire, how much more will he clothe you, you of little faith? So do not set your heart on what you will eat or drink. Do not worry about it. For the pagan world runs after all such things, and your Father knows that you need them. But seek his kingdom, and these things will be given to you as well. This is another clutch saying to meditate on. The pagan world, like, is running after this stuff. What can I consume? And you would think the next line is going to be, but you don't need that. Like, God is better than that, right? But no, the next line is, and your Father knows you need them. So it's not that people are crazy for trying to get money. It's like, hey, God knows you need money, you know? But like, just choose contentment and you will have great gain. Like, just seek the kingdom, choose to live, and you will have surplus. These things will be given to you. It says, do not be afraid. Your Father has been pleased to give you the kingdom. Sell your possessions, give to the poor, provide purses for yourselves that will not wear out, a treasure in heaven that will never fail. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. So I wanted to read the ending here, because it's a famous verse about money, because it comes on the back end of this barn story, right? So he's saying, hey, all this, when he's saying sell your possessions and give to the poor, like the connotation is rather than hoarding and hoarding and hoarding, like why don't you share, you know? And in Jesus's day, like it's estimated 90% of the population was poor, struggling to survive poor. You know, like this is an extreme level of hoarding for someone that is worried about what food is he going to be able to eat 7 years from now. I need to just get it all right now. He's saying, hey, why don't you just share with people that are unsure where their next meal is going to come from, right? Instead of pocketing your own purses, packing your instead of packing your own pockets, why don't you provide purses? Okay, last scripture to look at for today. This is this is kind of crazy. So this is John the Baptist. John said to the crowds coming out to be baptized by him, you brood of vipers. He goes off, he's telling the Jews all this stuff. Well, I'll just read it. He said, don't even begin to say to yourselves, we have Abraham as our father. For I tell you that out of these stones, God can raise up children for Abraham. The axe is already at the root of the trees, and every tree that does not produce good fruit will be cut down and thrown into the fire. So he is talking to the crowds of Jews, the people of God, and he's saying, y'all are about to be cut off from the family of God. And you think you have a birthright? I'm telling you, God, God can turn rocks into children. Like he can replace you so fast. He just put on Irreplaceable by Beyonce. He's like, don't you even think for a second. And so the crowd says, what should we do? Like they're all right, like, oh my gosh, we're about to be cut off from the people of God. Like, what do we need to do? Listen to this answer. Answer. John answered, anyone who has two shirts should share with the one who has none, and anyone who has food should do the same. Like, do you see how low of a bar that is? Do you see how selfish people had become? That there were people without a single shirt, people without any food, and these these people that God's angry with, right? He's gonna cut them out. An axe coming to the root. Like, what do we do? How do we make it right? It's like, how about just share? Just share instead of thinking that more money is going to fix whatever it is that you think you're trying to fix. Why don't you just help someone out? You have enough. You got two shirts? Ooh. Do y'all see the rich contentment in that? But it keeps going. Even tax collectors can be baptized. Teacher, what should we do? Don't collect any more than you are required to, he told them. So tax collectors were extorting even more money from this 90% poor population, lying about how much taxes they owed and just keeping the difference for themselves. So John's like, how about you stop screwing over and preying upon poor people? Like, that would be good. Then some soldiers asked him, what should we do? He replied, don't extort money and don't accuse people falsely. Be content with your pay. So they would, basically imprison people and take a bail, right? I know I saw you. You did do it. And what are you gonna do if you're a person? It's like, well, like if you can afford or anyone in your family can afford to bail you out, you're gonna get bailed out. And so soldiers were and pocketing that. It's like, how about stop taking advantage of people and listen to the response. The people were waiting expectantly and were all wondering in their hearts if John might possibly be the Messiah. The Messiah, which he's not. John responds to that and he's like, look, Jesus is coming. He's going to be even better than me. But like, just see the need around you. Maybe think about sharing. See the need around you and maybe stop exacerbating it through your evil deception. Those would be some good things to do if you want to get in right standing. And the people are like shook. Like, this might be the Messiah. Like, this might be the champion of the people of God, the Son of Man. Like, and John, like, he's not even saying anything that to you would sound revolutionary. And so why do I even read that? To hopefully inspire you about how powerful contentment is and just how scary discontentment is. I mean, these guys were so disillusioned by their own wants that they just about got cut off from this family that they had been a part of for thousands of years. I think. I actually don't know, maybe not thousands of years at that point, but however long it was from Abraham to the time of Jesus, biblical scholars hit me up in the comments. Over incredibly oppressive and corrupt practices and totally blind cold-heartedness towards others' needs because they wanted more for themselves. For themselves. Like that barn with the bigger barns, it's all I want to consume this, right? I want to eat, drink, and be merry, right? Whereas a created wealth is not sitting in your backyard waiting for you to consume it. A created wealth is companies, properties that are producing crop. It's herds that are reproducing and right raising animals or whatever it may be. It's not just stuff that is sitting there for you to eat. My video bugged out there again, but hopefully the audio still went through. But I'm trying to differentiate for you. And I'm not even really talking much about what creating wealth looks like in this video, but I'm trying to depict for you what trying to take money, trying to get rich. I'm trying to illustrate for you how cold-hearted that ultimately becomes, how dangerous that becomes, and how self-defeating it becomes because you end up missing out on the one thing you thought you were trying to get. And the paradox is if you had just been content, if you had just accepted the lot that life has given you, still believing for greater things, but letting go of the vanity, letting go of I just need a faster car, letting go of I just need to eat organic everything, unless you actually do need that, but like letting go of the things you want that you know you would buy if you could afford them, but you can't afford them. To spin your wheels trying to afford them one day is the wrong path. It's the wrong path. It's the wrong path. But when you are financially free, guess what? You're not going to have to make decisions based on can I afford this or not. It's so it's so much easier to be content when you have a surplus, but you'll never create a surplus unless you can be content in your lack. Let me know if this is making sense. Apologies for the video bugging in and out. That's all I got for you in this one, and I will be back again soon. All right, later.